Hello, Sarah Sabin, transformational leadership and business coach, here today with the video interview series Leading in the Modern Way. And I am very excited to have as a guest today Mac, who is the founder and CEO of Formula Media. Mac, welcome. And would you like to briefly introduce yourself to my listeners?
Sure. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. I'm Mac, the founder and CEO of Formula Media. I run a new media agency focusing on new media channels for the modern day and for clients that are having an impact, a positive impact on human beings.
Awesome. So I'd love to dive a little bit more into your business journey. And let's cast your mind back to the beginning. What were some of the challenges that you faced in growing your business to its current stage, and how did you overcome some of those challenges?
So going right back to the beginning of my Formula Media journey, it was a similar pattern to some of the entrepreneurial things I've done in the past. So some of the sort of inner fears, things like overcoming fear and getting confidence in and conviction in what you're doing first and foremost, and bringing an idea to life. But then, I think the more practical challenge was breaking out of the rat race.
Mm.
Um, so that's a big thing, right? Once you're in that, it's a really nice, comfortable place to be. I had quite a good role. I was a senior director at another agency, and sort of the courage to take that leap and confidence to do it is important. But then obviously some of the other immediate challenges are things like finance, finding clients, establishing a story, establishing a brand, getting your IP together, getting out there, and it all feels very chaotic to begin with. There's so many moving parts and so many things happening in tandem. I guess you've got to try and find your clarity, and it's a sort of evolving training process to find that clarity. And you can't do it by yourself. You've got to you've got to have the right people around you. You've got to go out to your network, which is what I did. That was my first go-to. I went to went to my family, I went to my friends, soundboarded, a few of the ideas, and of course you take things with a pinch of salt. But then some friends will help more than others, or can help more than others. And I was very fortunate to have some good friends to help. One person in particular, JJ Goodman, who was the founder of London Cocktail Club at the time, offered me a sort of hybrid role where I could become head of marketing, interim head of marketing at London Cocktail Club. Allowed me time to then also work on my agency openly, which really helped, cover my financial obligations, still have a stake in the marketing world, but also then build my agency off the back of that. And then Hoppy, who's the co-founder, introduced me to the Princess Trust, and it was just an incredible time for people coming together. I had other friends in my network who sort of just made introductions, and that was the to speak to as many people as possible, and as I said, going back to this, get as much advice and soundboard as possible, but also professional help, because I had never managed finance to this degree, so I got a good CFO in, and and it was expensive, but he was incredible, right? He came in, and he just went straight to the point, and said, this is exactly what you need to do.
Mm.
Then I had to wear the CMO hat, and I had to wear the sort of new business hat, and you wear multiple hats, and you really look at operations, people, culture, the rest of it. So it is like, I think that word chaos is chaos, and is sort of alongside challenge, because that's what happens. That chaotic moment creates a big challenge in terms of how do you navigate around all of these things.
Thank you for sharing that. And there was quite a lot in there, so I'm gonna break down some of that. But I think a quote comes to mind before I do that, which is, before any new structure falls into place, there's always chaos, which was a quote from my meditation teacher, gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, but it's so true. So number one, the personal aspect of going from corporate to setting up your own business. It's a really tough decision for a lot of people to make, especially, as you say, when you're comfortable, and it takes a lot of courage to do. And I think often before confidence comes courage, because you need to get into action enough to obviously get things off the ground rather than staying in your head and kind of going in a mind loop for years. The other things that I want to pick up on in relation to the business aspect is the use of your network. So oft underutilized, because people go straight away into, okay, well, marketing. And it's interesting that even though you are a marketing person, you went first to your network, and your network's network. And again, it's something that can bring up resistance in people, I think. So like, there's that fear of rejection, or I don't want to be a bother, etc. But it's a really good way to get business off the ground. And then the last point is, whilst you are getting the business off the ground, if you have to do something else alongside it at the same time to relieve pressure, and that could be financial pressure, emotional pressure, etc., then it's perfectly okay to do that. You can determine the best way for you to really get your business off the ground. So thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of valuable insights out of that. So now that you've been going for a few years, right, in your business, the quality of your problems have probably changed somewhat. So what are you really focusing on in your business at the moment?
So I think, those challenges have evolved, you're right. And it's important to understand that the foundational blocks are now in place. The lessons and pitfalls and negatives in business have all been, well, not all of them. I'm sure there'll be plenty more along the line. That's the nature of business. But I think some of the big lessons have been learned early enough, which has now enabled a more robust structure to go and build. So it's almost a sort of reset of challenges now. So the next challenge is no longer. So yes, network is still important, and yes, I've still got the friends, the mentors, the family, and the rest, and everyone's behind it, which is great, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. But the next real challenge is, for me, this is more a sort of, well, I don't know if this is a common business challenge, but it's almost the footprint, the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just transactional business anymore. It's the legacy of the business, and how to create that legacy. And that's a bit, that's a beast. It's a bigger. It feels big, and I think it is big. So it's then working out what I need to do to almost go to market, or almost go back to marketing, and understand the fundamentals of marketing, i.e., and this is a true story. We've only just started doing our own marketing, right? Which is, I don't know if that's common, but up until now, it's been very sort of word of mouth, network, and I've been in the agency game for a long time, and I've been in the music industry for a long time. So I've got a lot of contacts, and that sort of snowballed and helped. But now for the first time, I'm knocking on doors via SEO, traditional marketing, B2B, etc. Establishing my own personal development, my professional development, but also business development. And I understand that. I was having a chat just yesterday with the team actually about this, where I talked about the importance of segmenting and isolating those three things. They do cross over, and they do, but working on each one. So working on your sort of the things you need to develop in your personal life, and the challenges in your personal life, the things you need to develop in your professional life, and the challenges you're facing. And then same with work and business for me. What are those challenges? And I guess those, if I had to sort of cut to the chase of those challenges, is finance. So accelerating finance now, looking at bigger tier clients. And I'm not talking your blue chip Coca-Colas that where I have worked with in the past, because that's those are mammoth networks that you need. Those are your big six style agencies. That's not where I'm shooting. I'm shooting at the sort of the mid tier now, and getting things in place to enable that. To have that conversation, or have those conversations, is the next challenge for me in terms of business.
So what I'm hearing is that now there is an element of intentionality that perhaps wasn't there at the beginning. And what I mean by that is, you went with the flow at the beginning, you worked with the clients that came up for you, but now you're actually more looking at what it is that you want to create. I love the use of the word legacy because it helps you to kind of structure and codify things. But essentially, that helps you to more accurately define what success looks like for you as a business.
Yeah, it does. It does. And then I think that's it's a good intentionality is a very good way to sort of summarize. Well, not to say I didn't have an intention in the first place. Of course I did. It's a more refined intention. I think that's the key. It's a constant evolution, of refining your value, refining your price point, adapting your way of working, adapting your offering, but also ensuring the people, the culture, the work-life balance is happening, and everyone is. It's almost like a harmony, the perfect harmony. How do you create that perfect harmony, and for it to sort of continue on and grow, and nurture? Because I feel like at the beginning I was more sort of driving, foot on the gas, go, 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 go. And then now I've sort of like, okay, I've eased off and I'm cruising down the highway. But now I'm just figuring out, right, which road am I going to take? And then it's that sort of, the car's moving, and I'm using an analogy here, but at first I was just like, let's get the car going. And now it's right, the car's going. I can take my foot off the gas a bit, but now, and so there's a bit of space, I think. There's a bit of space, and I think that's the word, space, and I don't know about time, but space for growth, and thinking about what could, what we want to go after, who we want to go after, what type of client we would love to work with, because it is that way around. It's like, who would we like to work with too? It's not, it's not like I said, it's not just transactional. So, which is a fortunate position to be in, and this was what I was hoping for. I was hoping to get to a point where I could make a choice, or I had choices, and I think that old bread and butter story, which so some people just to take on wherever they can take on because they've just got to get the business going, and I feel like that phase is past, and we're in this new on a new trajectory, which is really nice.
And the word that really stood out to me was space. In order to refine intention and strategy and think about who it is that it would really light you up to work with as a business, you need space to do that. And it's quite a common transition point that I see the business owners, they've got it to a stable point, and then it's transitioning to how do I create more space to be the leader for my team, to be the strategist, to focus more on the vision. So it's the next stage in evolution, if you like.
That's right. Yeah, it really is. And it's not that simple. And I've got to, I've got to put that out there. It takes character, resilience, personal development, as I said, a lot of personal development. I think that's the key to create that space and be comfortable with it. You've got to really be intentional, using that word again, with what it is you need to do to create that space, and then what you're going to do with that space, because that's a luxury. I think in any entrepreneurial journey or business, if you get that opportunity, you really got to take it with both hands and go for it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, creating the space is exactly that, creating it. So it's getting out of the busyness loop, which is a psychological and mindset shift as much as anything. But on the topic of personal growth, how have you invested into growing and evolving as a leader? And how do you take steps to continuously learn and grow?
I've invested. So I'll give you a great example. Actually, in December last year, I'll go back a little bit. September, I started doing hot yoga. Never done it before. My sister recommended it, and I was like, "Really, hot yoga?" I've done martial arts all my life, and I've done boxing, and I've done all the other parts of like flexibility and sport. But hot yoga was like, okay, let me give it a go. I found it really tough. It was very difficult. I hated it, to be honest. At first, it was a nightmare. I thought I was going to pass out halfway through. It was tough. But then I found there was some. I was like, admiring the strength in some people that I saw. I was like, wow, like I thought I was pretty strong, and I go gym and I do all this stuff. But these guys, they've got a different tier of strength. I need to understand that. And I really, so in December this year, I committed myself to a bundle package basically for the year, which there was a deal on in December, and I was like, great, it's great. Let's just do it, because then I'm committed, and then I've got to go once a week. This day, so it's actually yesterday. So every what day is it today? Yeah, it is Wednesday. Yeah, so yesterday, Tuesday, every Tuesday night, go to hot yoga. So that's now become a very specific thing I do every week. Then every Monday with one of the business partners and head of media, Billy High. Actually, I'll give him a shout out. He we make a point of going to the gym, right? So we go to the gym every Monday, kickstart the week, and then have a chat, have a sort of what's going to happen in the week, what's happening with the business, and all of that. I've also, I've looked at mentors and coaches. I think I undervalued the importance of mentorship and coaching. In the past, I always thought it was a bit of a fads type, like right, you don't really need it, you can figure it out yourself. But there are techniques that you can put into place. There are different types of coaches and mentors that you can talk to and really get some value from, and it doesn't take long. It doesn't always take, like, it's not like you need it for a year. You might just have 6 sessions, 3 sessions, 6 sessions, whatever it might be. There's some free resources out there. I looked at the free resources, and I did that. Then I started investing in it, and I found that really valuable. So, and then sort of ensuring I'm planning and being proactive and planning my time. So making sure that I know which holidays I'm going on this year, and which business trips. Making sure that if going even down to the finer detail. So I have a to-do list on my phone that syncs to my laptop. And then, as soon as I think something, it goes onto that to-do list, and it goes from a to-do list into my calendar. So then I, segment some time to ensure that that's a dedicated time to sort of um, uh, address whatever it was. So it's a combination of things, and I meditate as well. So you touched on meditation a bit earlier, about 10 years ago. So I think you did it, and I've really got deep into the world of meditation, creative meditation, breathing, chakra, like all types of meditation and thinking, because I know the power and value of that too. So going inwards as much as possible. I did a talk recently about sort of finding or discovering your inner hippie, and trying to really bring that out. And I still stand by that. I think it's fundamental, especially in a post-pandemic world where everyone's had a tough time, and are still sort of recovering and all that knock-on effect. And I think we are back to normal with inverted commas, but it's still a knock-on effect that we all need to work on. And I think people have in general switched on to the fact that sort of personal development, internal development is internalizing a bit more is important. So I said a lot of things there, but it is all of these things. It's not one specific thing that helps. It's a multitude of things.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. I'm going to summarize that into categories. As you can tell, I love summarizing. Yeah. So self-care, hot yoga and meditation and spiritual practices fit into self-care, and it can be whatever makes you feel good. When I originally learned meditation, I actually went to a teacher to teach me a specific form of meditation, which has evolved over the years as my spiritual practice has grown. But some form of self-care practice is essential to, I would say, to maintain sanity. Secondly, you talked about coaching and mentorship. A lot of high-performing people actually don't, quote unquote, need coaches. Their lives aren't complete messes and they're all over the place. That's not the function of coaching or mentorship. The function of it is to get you to the next level, whatever that looks like for you, and also to have a guide to put it all together for you rather than sort of trying to do everything yourself. So that's the second thing. And the third thing you said, I've actually lost what there was a third point that you touched on as well, in the development space, which has gone. So I'm gonna let that go.
Let that go. It's fine.
Yeah, but thank you. There are some great things that you brought up there that is essential for people to think about when they're thinking about building a business and a life and success in a more holistic way. So, final question I like to ask.
Okay.
In 2 sentences, could you tell me a piece of advice that you would give your 20-year-old self?
2 sentences. Okay. Let go of your fears. Do things with conviction. Give them a go. If you fail, it's okay. You can try again. And if you fail again, then try something else. Don't worry about it.
Love it. The only failure is giving up completely.
That's right. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right. So, Mac, absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you today. And I hope my listeners, I hope that you enjoyed the conversation today too. If you would like to be a part of the Leading in the Modern Way interview series, please do reach out to me. Thank you and bye for now.